Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by your two usual... Well, no, actually, you're joined by myself, Josh Hartley, and our guest this week is Jacques Strap. Hello, Jacques.
Jacques Strap.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Josh. How are you?
Were you thinking I didn't notice?
I did think you didn't notice. I was going to sit on it for a few more minutes and then maybe mention it, but clearly you're cannier than I give you credit for.
There we go. How are you doing this week?
I'm quite tired. I've had a very busy week. In real life news, as we like to do sometimes. I've alluded to the fact that I will be moving soon, and I am now actually moving. So
hooray!
Not hooray. Moving is horrible.
No, hooray to finding a place.
Yes.
And it's a nice place, isn't it?
It is a nice place. This is interesting because this is the first time I've ever moved with furniture. So I've moved many times. More than one person probably should move in their lifetime. But this is the first time I've ever moved with not just like clothes and possessions, right? And I've actually got furniture and stuff. And normally, like, I've just had like friends chuck my TVs in cars and, you know, box up my books and chuck those in the back of a car and buy everyone pizza and, you know, jobs are good. And can't really do that with furniture, especially when you live up, you know, 4 flights of stairs. That's not fair to anyone. So I've been getting quotes from movers recently, one of which you very kindly provided me with the details of, and I hadn't appreciated how goddamn expensive it is.
It's right. Well, if you think about it, though, right, it's going to be at least 2 guys.
Right? No. I'm not criticizing it. I want to get out ahead of it. It's my ignorance. It's not. I'm not saying these people are overcharging for a service. It's just that I'd never really given it thought, and I appreciate, you know, it's 2 people working for several hours, heavy lifting, up and down stairs, you know, petrol, blah blah blah, insurance. I 100% get why it's expensive. I just never considered it. So I got like my first quote that I got in. I was like, holy crap, that is a lot. The quote I actually got from your company was much better, and I'm going to be getting another quote from a friend of a friend, which potentially might also come in lower with kind of a mates rates situation. So we'll see. But yeah, that was just something that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, holy hell, that is a...
I'll say this though. I'll say that it is worth every damn penny. I am never moving my own stuff ever again. Like, I'm always gonna. Yeah, I'm a big advocate of, like, do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pay a professional to do a thing properly for me rather than try and do it myself and make an arse of it. So
see, I'm on the opposite side of that because I was raised in a very much do-it-yourself.
You were raised in Lancashire.
I was raised in Lancashire, you know, very working class. Like, you know, I was fixing a toilet at the age of 15. Like, true story. Like, I fixed a toilet with a rubber band and some green stuff. Like,
there we go. We brought it back to the hobby.
When I was like 15 years old. You know, the amount of things I've painted in my mum's house, like broken ornaments that I've had to repair, and, you know, bits around the house that we've repaired with like milliput or, you know, polyfiller and stuff like that. Like, we're very much a working class. Like, you do it yourself, you save the cost. The only time you get a professional in is if it's like, you know, you need like accredited people, you know, for like gas, electric, stuff like that. You know, I'm not there with like a screwdriver and a plug. Like, I've got this.
Yeah.
There's a degree of sensibleness to it. But yeah, as I'm getting a little bit older and a little bit more middle class, I'm like, I'm gonna pay a guy, and also, you know, I'm not capable of lifting furniture up and downstairs.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing for me, right? It's like, I can do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So if it's gonna take like 2 guys like a fraction of the effort that it would take me, that makes sense in my head.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it's something that I've been like, do you know what? Like this is going to be someone's coming in for it, and I accepted that long before I was even going to be moving. So it's going to be a first for me. But yeah, that's kind of been my week really. Like it's you forget how much there is to sort when you move, and I've not moved for like 4 years, so I'm like, right, I need to sort bills, I need to sort internet services, I need to sort furniture, I need to sort this, that, and I'm like, Jesus, there is a lot to be done here. So I've kind of been slowly stripping things out of like my week for the next few weeks. Like I won't do that and I won't do that, and that gives me extra time. And as you might be able to see behind me, like things have started to be kind of, pictures have been taken down off the wall as I'm doing like the easy stuff that I can just kind of do like on my break at work and stuff. So it's getting there. So it's been busy. Yeah. What about you? What have you been doing?
I have locked myself out of my house for the first time within 2 weeks of moving in. So what happened was, right, it was bin day. Okay. I was taking the recycling out because I'm a responsible citizen. Now the recycling in my street is in an alley that is behind a gate. And the gate is like, it's an archway basically. It's not an open street. So the gate closes the entire thing and there's no way of climbing over it or anything. And that gate has a Yale lock on, which locks automatically when it shuts. So I went out and I saw one of my neighbours for the first time, so we were saying hi and everything, and then it swings closed behind me. And I'd left the front door locked because I didn't go through the front door. So me, foreseeing this event, gave a spare key to my friend Dan. We'll phone him up, get him in town, grab the key, come back. Didn't check if the key worked. Key doesn't work. So I then basically had to go into my neighbour's yard and hop over the wall so that I could actually get back in.
I'm surprised you didn't do that straight away, to be honest. That seems like the quick and accessible version of...
Well, I just thought, oh, well, Dan's got a key, I'll go get a key. Okay. Bear in mind, I'm like 10 minutes from town.
Okay, so. Fair enough. I thought it was a bit more of a trek for you. That's fair enough then.
No. So yeah, that was... So the protocol now is I unlock the front door whenever I'm going to take the bins out. So that way I can get back in if the same thing happens.
Or take the key with you, right?
Take the key with me.
That would surely be an even better suggestion than leaving your house vulnerable for 5 minutes. Yes. Random question that sort of relates to that. Have you ever had to kick a door in?
I have not. No. I think it would be embarrassing if I was ever in that situation though, because it just would be like, all right,
it's actually,
and again,
it's and again a lot easier than like. At least I've done it once. So it was years and years ago, and a girl I knew lived up the road from me at the time. And she phoned me up and she was like, this was like small hours of the morning. She worked at a bar, so she'd come home from working her shift, phone me up at like sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and said, I'm locked out of my house. I was like, what do you want me to do about it? And she's like, can you come round and like kick the door in? And I was like, maybe I can try. So I kind of get sorted out, walk up the road, go up to her flat, and like she lives in like a little close, and like where she lived, it was like you went up a set of like stone stairs, and then like her door was right at the top of these stairs. So you had like maybe 3 or 4 foot between like her door and the top of the stairs. So I'm kind of like stood there, and I'm like, if this goes wrong, I'm gonna project myself down these stone stairs. Like, there's one thing's going one way here.
But you better make it count.
Yeah. So that maybe added to the adrenaline of it. So I've never kicked a door in. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I just sort of winged it. Just gave this door a boot, and I was genuinely quite surprised at how easily I kicked this door in. I like the lock burst off and that, and this isn't like me being like, it's not a humble brag like, oh my god, I'm super strong.
I was just gonna say, I bet you look merely macho though.
I felt it like it's one of the few. I would say there's been like 4 or 5 times in my life that I felt really macho, and that was like that's in the list. But yeah, I was like, Jesus, That's scarily easy.
I thought the trick was you're supposed to aim for where like the lock and latch is.
Yeah,
because that's like the most that's the thing keeping it closed. So that's the most vulnerable bit.
Yeah, so that's it. I sort of, I wouldn't say I did a high kick, but I did kind of a mid kick to hit like the lock. I actually hit just underneath the lock, if memory serves. But you want to get kind of the central mass where that is, and then it's a bit like when you're punching something, you want to kind of punch through it. You don't want to punch at your extent. So like you kind of want to have it where as you're kicking, the extent of your reach is that your foot is actually going to go through the door, which is what I actually stood there like doing maths in my head.
Nice,
like, how is this going to work? Because we're nerds. That's what we do. If we're going to have to be violent, we're going to do it.
Question. Two questions.
Okay.
First question: why didn't she call a locksmith?
Because it was 1:30 in the morning.
Okay, and that answers the second question of why didn't you suggest that?
Because I had an option to kick a door in.
Yeah, that's they do answer 24 hours a day, locksmiths.
They do, but I imagine she just like wanted to get in and like, get so like I think she went in and like she kind of put the chain on the door, because this was like a door that had a chain on it, and kind of like barricaded it and then got it sorted in the morning kind of thing. Okay. I think it was just like, I'm knackered from work, I just want to get in and get to bed, I don't want to faff around. I think I actually, I stayed the night. I crashed on her sofa as well, just to make sure she was okay. But yeah, random question that just you reminded me of, because it's a weird, it's something you don't prepare to have to kick a door in. But when it comes to you, as it comes to all of us,
yes,
you must accept the call to action.
So, what else have I been up to? So, gaming-wise this week, there we go, 11 minutes in. We're talking about what the podcast is actually about. I was at my first face-to-face pre-release since the pandemic for Magic the Gathering. It was awesome. I actually went, I'll say 1.5. I went to one on I had to nip up to Glasgow basically to collect my things from the office.
And what things did you collect, Josh, from the office? I know this story, and I know how ridiculous it is.
So I forgot what I had in there. So I was like, I better go up in case there's anything important. There was a photo of myself and some friends from school on a lovely holiday that we took for Tom's... not this Tom, another Tom's 30th. There is a paperweight with a picture of a dog wearing a cravat. A bunch of phone chargers, a snippet from a Dilbert calendar that one of my work colleagues gave me and was pinned to my monitor. There's miscellaneous stationery and a load of things I threw in the bin. So there we go.
And how much did you pay for your train ticket to Glasgow to get
now
those
look,
things?
come on. So I think it's 27. 27 is the return fare now. Yeah, but I got to see you.
You did get to see me.
I got to see you, and I got to partake in Magic the Gathering as well. So.
I think if we're being honest with each other, Josh, did you use the work thing as an excuse to come up to Glasgow to 100%. Partake in Magic?
100%. Come on, like. If I ever have to go up for a work thing going forward, I'm using work as an excuse so that I can actually just see people and make a weekend of it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally fair. No, that's good. And yeah, you're right. We got to hang out in person, which we have not done a lot of over the last couple of years for obvious reasons.
We watched Jungle Cruise.
I did watch Jungle Cruise.
Which I enjoyed.
It was a good film.
I was talking to Ben about this on the phone earlier this evening. I was like, do you know what, Ben? It was a good romp. And he's like, I watched it as well and I enjoyed it too. Like, The Rock's got a good screen presence. He does have a good screen presence. Like, Dwayne Johnson.
I mean, he still goes by The Rock. It's fine. Not that I'm like a personal friend of his. It's fine. He said it's cool. He said it's all right.
Yeah.
I actually watched Jungle Cruise with you on Saturday, and then on Sunday I watched Red Notice, which is another Dwayne Johnson
another Dwayne
film.
The Rock Johnson flick.
So I had a wee rock weekend, which was quite nice, and we had a wee Domino's pizza together as well, which was good.
Nice. It wasn't a wee Domino's pizza at all.
It was massive. That actually lasted me all the way until the end of Sunday.
Nice.
Because
I can't hack the large dominoes anymore at all. Like I got more than half, but then I was like, no, I can't. I did that very English thing of, I couldn't possibly.
So we've got some stuff to talk about. Some pretty serious stuff.
We do.
In all fairness. So do you want me to jump in with it?
Let's just go. Let's go for it.
Give us the brief. So if you're at all up to date with the hobby community, specifically the Warhammer, you may have seen this kind of pop up on Reddit and a few other websites as well. For point of reference, I'm drawing some of this information from Spikey Bits. So basically, recently there was a bit of a controversy at a Warhammer 40,000 tournament in Spain. Specifically, GT Talavera, which I'm not going to try and say the name of the club because it's partially in Spanish mixed with like Orcish from the looks of it, and it's just, that's going to be a nightmare to try and pronounce. But what happened, I'll read their exact statement, a portion of their statement, and we can discuss it from there. So this is taken from the club's statement, which was posted up on the 17th of November on Spikey Bits. So, it says, during the second day of the tournament, one of the participants showed up wearing clothes with Nazi symbols. One of his opponents refused to play against him and demanded that we expel him from the tournament. Two members of the organisation, one of them a lawyer by profession, met alone with the player in Nazi clothing, exposing him the situation and our dissatisfaction with him showing the symbolism in this tournament. I imagine these aren't native English speakers, hence the wording. The individual replied that he had no problem in playing against anyone and that he had behaved correctly throughout the tournament, but if we wanted to expel him, he would call the police himself. At this point, we want to emphasize that in Spain it is not a crime to display Nazi symbols as long as it is not accompanied by criminal conduct, and I want to empathize that we do not believe that the law is fair or correct, but that is how it is written. Instead, if the organization expels to this person for his deplorable ideals, Nazism in this case, it is the organization that is committing a crime of ideological discrimination, and it could perfectly denounce us and would have the law on its side. At that moment, we find ourselves tied hand and foot. Once reached that point, if any player does not play their game, the opponent automatically wins it 20-0. This is if they are on the bases. It is something very unpleasant, but in such a difficult situation, we believe that we had to follow the rules of the tournament and emphasize that the organizers were the most upset with the situation we were forced to take. They then go on to sort of talk about how in future they're going to look at safeguards against this, rewrite the rules for the event, and sort of take some further policies to put themselves in a position where this isn't something that they're kind of forced to deal with again. So I kind of mentioned this to Josh when we saw each other on Saturday, that I thought this would be an interesting topic of conversation, and also something that it's worth talking about. So Josh, I suppose we'll get your thoughts on it first of all. What are your thoughts on
I know diddly squat about Spanish law, right? Mm-hmm. But what I will say is I am amazed that it would be illegal for them to expel someone for displaying Nazi symbology. I'm taking, there's no photographs and there's no description of what said symbology is.
There is a photograph.
Oh, okay. Is it a swastika?
It is a stylized. Yes, it is. It's hard to describe it. It's like 4 swastikas put together to make a larger swastika. It's probably the best way I can describe it.
I mean, I don't want to make light of this discussion, but like it's a Voltron swastika.
A little bit, yeah.
Right. Okay. Right, so a pretty extreme and like clear I'm a Nazi.
Oh yeah, he's got like it's either like a black jacket or a black hoodie. I can see like on the photo that's on Spikey Bits, there's like a bit of a red armband on the left arm, and then on like the breast where you'd have like your logo on your hoodie is this sort of red circle with a white Ultron swastika inside of it.
Yeah. So my understanding of English law and Scottish law is that in that context, like a tournament, particularly one that you're presumably having to pay to enter, is effectively a private function, and that you have every right to expel someone without giving them any reason as to if you don't want that person there, they don't have to be there. It's only illegal if it's for, I think, what's the term over here? It's like protected or sensitive boundaries. Things like if you are expelling someone for race or for religion, like that's discrimination.
Yeah.
I don't think fascism is protected by. Well, okay, I won't be as alarmist. I don't think political ideology is. For example, if I was a socialist protester and I rock up to the Tory Party conference, they're well within their rights to expel me from the conference because they don't want me there. I don't think that's illegal. I could be very wrong on that, and if there's anyone listening who is more qualified or knows more about English and Scottish law, please let me know. I'm saying this to say I'm really surprised that it's against the law in Spain to expel someone from a function like a games tournament for being a Nazi.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things that are worth taking into consideration on this, and one thing that they do say, which is I think fair to say probably, and probably applies to this person, is these types of people are professional provocateurs who know perfectly how far they can tighten the rope. I imagine that means like walk a thin line, without having legal consequences for them.
Yeah.
In this case, the person behaves correctly at all times, leaving us without weapons to expel him by not having a criminal behaviour. The other thing I will say as well, which they do say, which I think you do need to take into consideration, we're a group of friends who get together to carry out a tournament for others to enjoy without any profit to it. So you've got to bear in mind, this isn't like a professional organisation of tournament runners.
Okay.
This is a club. It's a friend-run club that is putting on an event for like-minded, well, not in this case, but some like-minded individuals to come and have fun. So you've got to kind of take it in that context. I mean, I feel for them. I really do. Like they've been put in a horrible situation.
Sure. Yeah.
By someone who is, whatever way you want to spin it, and I said this to you on Saturday, there's no way to spin Nazism as a good thing. There's no, it's,
you just wake up one day and just go, oh, I guess I'm evil now.
Yeah, like
give me my Doc Marten boots and my swastika stickers.
Yeah, like there's some ideologies out there and some political opinions. Whether for me personally, I'm certainly not conservative in my political leanings, or I don't subscribe to like communism or anything like that. But I can at least objectively see what elements of those people might see appealing, however self-serving they may be or otherwise. But in this case, this isn't something that's forgivable. And what I said to you is, there's a reason why in every form of media, Nazis are the one of the go-to bad guys, because it's pretty much universally accepted.
It's shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah. They are quite literally, well, they're not quite literally, but they are low-hanging fruit in every context when it comes to bad guys. Literally in some ways, I suppose.
I suppose one thing that this does highlight, and you see often, well, all the time now for these sort of conventions and clubs and public gatherings, that they have some sort of constitution or code of conduct, and I think this highlights, why it's important to have such a document, because certainly I can appreciate why some people would think, well, that's a bit overkill having a constitution for a gaming club. Well, this is an example as to why, because if they had written their constitution thoroughly, they would have thought, oh, we should probably include something about, hate speech or being supportive of an ideology that perpetrates hate speech as well, and then they could have gone, haha, well, if you'd read paragraph 10, Article A, get out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's kind of telling that, that because they are a small club, they maybe just didn't have that sort of insight. And now in hindsight can obviously do something about it. There's some relevant points as well that have come up that kind of Spikey Bits have alluded to, and I think it's a fair point to make. As they say on the site, it only takes one person or one event like this to ruin things en masse for a particular group, hobby, or venue. And they've then got a tweet from a chap called Michael B. Tager about how you need to nip these things in the buds. These guys come in, they're always nice, polite, and you serve them because you don't want to cause a scene, and then they become a regular, and then after a while they bring a friend, and that dude is cool, and then they bring their friends, and their friends bring their friends, and they stop being cool, and then you realize, oh shit, this is a Nazi bar now, and it's too late because they're entrenched, and if you have to kick them out, they cause a problem, so you have to shut them down. And that's exactly it. This isn't the kind of behaviour that you can just turn a blind eye to. And I think whoever he played against at that tournament, I feel for them for having to be the person that kind of had to,
I mean, kudos for that guy.
Yeah. Because it's intimidating. If you come across someone, I mean, they can be the wormiest, skinniest, guy or girl in the world, but you see someone who's publicly rocking Nazi symbology, and there's definitely something there that you're going to be at least slightly concerned about, I'd imagine. It's a really, really bad situation, but I think the reason we kind of said we wanted to talk about it because it's an interesting one. How far can you can you go with these sorts of situations? And we've talked about Nazis before, like in wargaming, because you do have war games where Nazis exist, and we've spoken about this on previous episodes. You can't have a World War II.
So someone has to be the Nazis in a World War II game. Yeah. Right? Like, there's no getting away from that.
And it's so tricky, like, on that side. I mean, this isn't a tricky situation. This is an idiot, to be kind, really. Who's just trying to anger people and has intentionally gone in, with these kinds of things loaded that he can... And I don't know if that is Spanish law, because like yourself, I don't know it, but it certainly seems to be, from what they're saying at the very least. But yeah, I wouldn't actually feel comfortable running a Nazi army. Like, I couldn't do it if I played, Second World War. And it's the same,
if you were playing something like Bolt Action, you'd feel a bit funny like playing the Germans. That's fair enough. I get that. I've never tried it, to be honest.
I knew people that played it. I've seen a few of the books and things. And I think I mentioned to you, I do think a lot of the sensible ones do kind of downplay the Nazi element of it and kind of have it just as like German infantry and German special forces and stuff like that.
Which is a way around it. Sure,
that's kind of the best you can do with it, really. Can you imagine if like you've got like, how in like 40k you have like Marnius Calgar and special characters you can field, and you've got like Hitler and that as characters you can field.
Not.
It's just
the final boss of Wolfenstein, Hitler in a mech.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's taking it to like a ridiculous, ridiculous element at the very least, to kind of add a degree of fantasy to it, I suppose. But yeah, that was a rough thing to hear about, and I do, I kind of feel for them being put in that situation.
Do you feel that in recent years there's been a rising trend of, I mean, this guy wasn't alt-right, he was just right, but like the alt-right in the sort of tabletop gaming community, do you think that there's been more of that going on, or?
I think it's always been there. Like this is the thing, and I said this to you when we spoke about this initially on Saturday. I think that this is almost reactionary. There's a couple of things at play here. I think one is that there's just more spaces for people like this to be vocal,
Mm-hmm.
which is a terrible thing. Really,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about freedom of speech, but hate speech is not included in that. And it's there's just this. You've got kind of the darker corners of the internet, and even like the not so dark corners.
Yeah,
of
the
internet,
Facebooks.
Right. You get these people on Facebook. I mean, I've stumbled accidentally across, basically Nazi sympathizers and stuff on the Facebooks of people not that far removed from me. These aren't people I know, but they're people that know people that know people that I know. So it's kind of like 3 degrees of separation, which is a bit concerning.
You want your Nazis to be at the Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, you really want a good sort of 6 degrees there minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want any degrees really, but if I have to,
Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic.
Yeah, but you've got obviously these kind of darker corners of the internet where they breed and they kind of get their echo chambers together, and then you've got them kind of seeping into like Facebook and Reddit and Tumblr and things like that as well. And then you've got the provocateurs like this that turn up with these uniforms and things on and hoodies, which I just think's deplorable really. But I said to you, part of me kind of wonders if it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that the sort of the left wing isn't becoming more prominent in gaming, because I think it's always been there. But it's becoming more vocal and more.
I think like tabletop gaming the community has been a pretty safe space for certainly be like left leaning politics.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, Warhammer 40,000 is written as sort of a satire of right wing ideology, right? Yeah. So the fact that goes over some people's heads is another thing, and we could have a whole conversation about satire. But in recent years as well, it's been a relatively safe community for people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community as well. There's not enough diversity in tabletop gaming at the moment, but it's getting better for for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to that.
I think it's and I think this is terrible, but I think you've got kind of 3 camps of people. You've got sort of your people who are very supportive of the left wing aspects, whether they're allies or part of it or just generally supportive. You've got kind of your people who are in the middle, who don't mind. They have no strong concern, no political leanings either way. They're happy for just more people to be included in the hobby, which I think is as good as, not as good a mindset, but is still an inclusive mindset at the very least. And then you've got kind of your people who are maybe uncomfortable with it. It's elements that maybe they aren't comfortable with for whatever reason. And I think at the very far right of that, you've obviously got these extremists in board game terms, right? You've got these extremists, and I think they to a degree potentially latch on to those people, and I think there's maybe a degree of, because they're uncomfortable, they're being sort of drawn into that. And this is just assumption on my part, and I think that's potentially what it is. I think it's just a horrible reaction that just shouldn't be happening. And it I'll be honest, it pisses me off. Like it, it's.
I don't want my hobby being associated with that kind of ideology or those kind of politics.
No, one person wearing a Nazi hoodie is one person too many. Regardless of what the event rules were, I understand they were put in a tricky position, and I do feel for them. But I think just the fact that you've got someone there, and I think funnily enough what you mentioned there about, Warhammer 40,000 specifically is a satire of it, and they're obviously they've completely misread that from the looks of it. And
I probably think the Imperium of Man is awesome.
Yeah, it's something to embody to. It pees me off, and you do see it. You see these quite deplorable people that do represent an unfortunate element of our community that we just don't want. and kudos to that guy for stepping up and challenging on that, and kudos to the club for at least admitting that it maybe wasn't the right action to take, and hopefully taking actions to make sure that in the future, if their hands were as tied as they claim, that it won't happen again.
Yeah, and I suppose that's how I was going to conclude it. The way that we address this is by calling it out when you see it, and just, people talk about freedom of speech, and I'm a firm believer of that, but freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence.
No.
And, the consequence of being a Nazi is that people don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
So we've just got to make sure that consequence follows through.
Well, this is the thing, right? I think there's a misconception. I'm going to get a little bit like political and philosophical. That's not a word. I made that up. Philosophical. Thank you.
Yeah.
It kind of ties into what you say there, right? Freedom of speech means that you can say what you want, right? You can speak your mind, all that jazz. That doesn't mean if you come up to me and call me every name under the sun and threaten, my family, threaten my livelihood, I'm not going to punch you in the nose. Like, you can't claim freedom of speech for that, and that's where what this kind of thing is. You can't go around spouting off hate speech or wearing iconography of, genocidal cults, fundamentally. I mean, they're bigger than a cult, really. And just think everyone's going to be okay with it and be like, well, I'm playing by your rules, so it's like, it doesn't matter whether you're playing by the rules. It doesn't matter if you're agreeing to play anyone. You are presenting a symbol of hate. There is no two ways about that. There's no spin on that you're going to put, that's going to make it come off all right. Like, I remember this is going back a little bit, but you remember like the massive controversy when Prince Harry wore the Nazi uniform back in the day.
Jeez.
Like, and I mean, that was for a Halloween event, which doesn't make it okay by any stretch of imagination. It was still a stupid thing to do. But like, to go to a public event, and brandish that kind of symbology, and you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know who that's gonna impact, who that's going to offend. I'm conscious about, like, I have t-shirts that have like swearing on them, usually with like asterisks and things, covering up a lot of the words, so it's not actually offensive. But I won't wear those in places where I know there's going to be kids, or if I'm traveling from like A to B, I'll zip up my hoodie so that kids or people that I don't know are going to be offended by it. And usually they're just like memes and stupid things. But I'm conscious of how I put myself out to the world just in that context, let alone wearing symbology of war criminals.
Yeah.
It's just it beggars belief, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully this serves as an example to other event organisers, and going forward, we don't have to deal with more of this. I suspect that's probably naive to think that we'll never have to deal with this again. But it, as I said, call it out when you see it, and
just keep fighting a good fight on that one, really.
Yeah, just love each other. Just be nice.
Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
That's it, really. That's all it boils down to. So, I do have a slightly more positive ending for the episode.
Okay.
So, we have very kindly been provided with a review copy of the new Critical Role novel, Kith and Kin, by Tabletop Scotland and D&D Scotland. Dave Wright's one of Dave Wright's many babies.
One of the many hats he wears.
Yeah. To review, which we'll be doing very soon. We'll be doing a special bonus episode where we'll be reviewing that. So that will be coming out within a week of this episode dropping. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be probably launching kind of midweek, end of week. So do keep an eye out for that, as well as our usual scheduled episode. Something a bit positive to look forward to.
There we go. Yeah.
To swallow your Nazi pill with, just to take the edge off. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on that, I'm about 50% of the way through it at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it. And on the flip side of the right wing, it's actually got some really good representation of like different characters from different kind of backgrounds and things. So I'll kind of talk about those in the review as well.
There we go.
So yeah, something a bit positive to look forward to.
More like Critical Role and less like rando Nazi in Spain going to a 40k tournament.
Advice for life.
And on that note, I think that is all we have time for this week. So as always, guys, thank you very much for listening, and until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye.